Hello everyone, here is Afra Siab. Today we are going to solve Cambridge IGCSE Physics Paper 2 Multiple Choice Extended held on October-November 2018 and paper code is 0625 with variant 23. So let's start from question number 1. Question number 1. The diagram shows part of the micrometer screw gauge. Here is the micrometer screw gauge. What is the smallest reading that can be achieved using this micrometer screw gauge? So here we have to tell that what is the smallest reading. The smallest reading that can be achieved by using the micrometer screw gauge is known as the least count of micrometer screw gauge and its value is 0.01 millimeter. Now we see the options. Option A 0.0001. So this is incorrect. Option B 0.01 millimeter. So option B is correct. Question number 2. An object falls in the gravitational field with air resistance. Which distance time graph shows this motion? So when object fall through the gravitational field and also there is air resistance, we have to draw the distance time graph. First of all, we know that if we consider this object and it is falling, then the gravitational force acting in downward direction, due to which the graph should be straight and decreasing. But due to the presence of air resistance that is acting in opposite direction, the body is experienced resistance in falling and speed is not increasing with the increase in gravitational acceleration. From here only option A is correct, which shows that with the increase in acceleration, the velocity of a body is not increasing. Question number 3. A body runs 400 meter at an average speed of 4.0 meter per second. He runs the first 200 meter in 40 seconds. How long does he take to run the second 200 meter? So here basically we have to find out time. First of all, first distance is given, that is 400 meter, and speed is also given 4.0 meter per second. We know that speed is equal to distance over time. From here we find out the value of time. It will be equal to S over V. 400 divided by 4.0, which is equal to 100 seconds. So from here, second distance is 200 meter and time is 40 seconds. Now time T2 is given, which is 40 seconds. And this is time T1. We can easily find out the time that he take to run the second 200 meter by subtracting both of these time. So it will be equal to 100 minus 40, which is equal to 60 seconds. Now we see the option. In the option A, 60 seconds are given. So option A is correct. Question number 4. A helium balloon is tied to the top and balance. A metal block of mass 100 gram is placed on the balance. The reading on the balance is 91 gram. Which statement can be deduced from this experiment? Option A. The balloon exerts a downward force of 0.09 Newton on the top and balance. B. The helium has a mass of minus 9 gram. C. The helium has a mass of plus 9 gram. D. The downward force on the top and balance is 0.91 Newton. First of all, here two masses are given. The metal block has mass 100 gram. And when it placed on the top and balance, the reading on the balance is 91 gram. First of all, I write here M1, it is equal to 100 gram, and when I have to convert this 100 gram into kilogram, so here will be 100 divided by 1000 kilogram. second mass will be 100 minus 91, which is equal to 9 gram. Again I have to convert into kilogram, so I divide it with 1000. Weight is equal to the product of mass and acceleration due to gravity. So I write here weight 1 is equal to 100 over 1000 multiplied by 10. It will be equal to 1 Newton. Weight 2 is 9 over 1000 multiplied by 10, which is equal to 0.09 Newton. First of all, here is 0.09 Newton plus the second weight is 1 Newton, which is acting in downward direction. Because here when we place the metal block on the top and balance, then the reading on the balance decrease. It means that both of these are acting in opposite direction. So I write here 1 Newton. The total resultant force will be equal to 1 minus 0.09, which is equal to 0.91 Newton. So it will be acting in downward direction and it is 0.91 Newton. Now we see the options. Option D, the resultant downward force on the top and balance is 0.91 Newton. So option D is correct. Question number 5. A student carries out experiment to find the mass and the volume of the 4 samples of rock. The graph shows the result. Here is a mass and volume graph. There are 4 samples, P, Q, R and S. Which pair are samples of the same type of rock? So first of all, we find out the density because mass and volume is given. Then the samples that have same density. These are the same type of rocks. So here I write density is equal to mass over volume. I first of all calculate for the sample P. Here we can see that the mass of the sample P is 200 gram while the volume is 50. So I write here 200 divided by 50, which is equal to 4 gram per cubic centimeter. For the sample Q, density will be, again sample Q has mass 200 gram, but no, the volume is 100. So I write here 200 divided by 100, which is equal to 2 gram per cubic centimeter. For the sample R, mass is 100 gram while the volume is 50. So I write here 100 over 50, which is again equal to 2 gram per cubic centimeter. For the sample S, density will be 100 divided by 100, which is equal to 1 gram per cubic centimeter. Now we see from here, both of these samples have the same densities, due to which these are the same type of rocks. Now we see the options. Option A, P and Q, B, P and S, C, R and Q, D, Q and S. So from here, option C is correct. Question number 6. An object accelerates from 10 meter per second to 30 meter per second in 4.0 seconds. The accelerating force is 150 Newton. What is the mass of the object? So here we have to find out the mass. I write here F is equal to ma. Force is given. We can easily calculate mass if we know the value of acceleration. We also know that acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time. So I write here delta V over T, which is V minus U over T. I put here F is equal to M into V minus U divided by T. From here mass will be equal to F multiplied by time over V minus U. Force is given 150 Newton multiplied by time is 4.0 second divided by V is the final velocity, which is 30 meter per second, and U is 10. So here will be 30 minus 10. Mass will be equal to 30 kilogram. From here, option D is correct. Question number 7. The diagram shows a uniform bar of length 120 cm and weight W. The bar is pivoted at a point 40 cm from the left end of the bar. A load of W by 2 is suspended from the right hand end of the bar. A downward force F is applied to the left hand end of the bar to keep it in equilibrium. What is the magnitude of the force F? So first of all, here is the pivot point and the force is acting in downward direction on the left hand side, while there is a weight W by 2 on the right hand side. We have to find out the magnitude of the force. Here I use the concept that clockwise movement will be equal to the anti-clockwise movement. Here the clockwise movement are caused by this weight and this weight, that is W by 2. So first of all I write here clockwise movement it will be equal to force multiplied by the perpendicular distance from the pivot point. So here force is W multiplied by distance from the pivot point. So here is pivot point, this distance, it is basically equal to 60 minus 40, which is equal to 20 centimeters. So I multiply it with 20 plus. There is another force W by 2 multiplied by the perpendicular distance from the pivot point. Here it is 120 centimeter while the pivot is at 40 centimeters. So the distance will be 120 minus 40, which is equal to 80. So I multiply it with 80. There will be 40 So clockwise movement basically equals to 60 multiplied by W. So I write here 60 multiplied by weight. Next we have to find out the anti-clockwise movement and it is caused by this force. So I write here anti-clockwise movement it will be equal to F multiplied by this distance from this point to the pivot. So this distance is basically equal to 40 centimeter. So I multiply it with 40. Now both of these moments should be equal because here it is in equilibrium. So I write here 60 multiplied by W is equal to F multiplied by 40. So force will be equal to 60 over 40 multiplied by W. So force will be 3 over 2 W. Now we see the options. In the option C, the force is equal to 3 by 2 the weight of this object. So only option C is correct. Question number 8. An electron is moving at a speed of 5 into 10 to the power 6 meter per second. A neutron is moving at a speed of 5 into 10 to the power 4 meter per second. The mass of the electron is m. The mass of the neutron is 2000 m. Which row is correct? Greater momentum, greater kinetic energy. So here basically we have to find out the momentum and the kinetic energy for the electron and neutron and tell which one of the following has the greatest momentum and kinetic energy. We know that momentum is the product of mass and velocity of the object. Here electron and neutrons are given. So first of all, I calculate the momentum of the electron. Here will be mass of electron and velocity of the electron. Mass of electron is given, that is m, multiplied by velocity is 5 into 10 की power 6. So here will be 5 into 10 की power 6 m and unit is Newton second. Next, the momentum of neutron will be mass of neutron and velocity of neutron. Mass of neutron is 2000 multiplied by m. And velocity is given 5 into 10 की power 4. So the momentum of neutron will be equal to 1 into 10 की power 8 mass and unit is Newton second. Next we have to find out the kinetic energy. We know that kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. So the kinetic energy of the electron will be half mass of electron is m multiplied by v square. Here will be 5 into 10 की power 6. So kinetic energy will be equal to 12.5 multiplied by 10 की power 12 mass and unit is joule. Next, the kinetic energy of the neutron, it will be equal to 1 over 2 2000 m, and again the speed is 5 into 10 की power 4 square. It will be equal to 25 into 10 की power 11 mass and unit is joule. Now here we can see that the momentum of the neutron is larger as compared to the electron. So I write momentum of neutron is larger as compared to electron. Next, the kinetic energy of the electron is larger as compared to the neutron. It means that neutron has larger momentum while the electron has greater kinetic energy. So from here only option C is correct. Question number 9. Which device is designed to convert the chemical energy into kinetic energy? Option A, an AC generator. B, a battery powered torch. C, a car engine. So car engine is basically a device that converts the chemical energy into kinetic energy. So option C is correct. Question number 10. A barrel of mass 40 kg is raised to a height of 1.5 meter by rolling it up a ramp. The length of the ramp is 8.0 meter. The force F applied to the barrel acts parallel to the ramp. The frictional force is negligible. Which row is correct? Gain in gravitational potential energy and force. So basically here we have to find out two things: gain in gravitational potential energy and the force. We know that gravitational potential energy is equal to mgh. Mass is given, that is 40 kg, multiplied by g, it is 10 meter per second square, and height is given, which is 1.5 meter. So gravitational potential energy will be equal to 600 joule. Next we also have to find out force. We know that work is equal to force multiplied by distance. From here force will be equal to W by D. In this case work will be equal to the gravitational potential energy. Now I put values here. 600 divided by D, which is given 8.0 meter. So force will be equal to 75 Newton. Now we see the options. In the option C, the gravitational potential energy is 600 joule and force is 75 Newton. So only option C is correct. Question number 11. What is the main process by which energy is produced in the sun? Option A, combustion. B, nuclear fission. C, nuclear fusion. D, radioactive decay. So this is basically the nuclear fusion that take place in the sun to produce energy. Question number 12. A manometer is used to measure the pressure of a gas supply. Which change give a greater value of height h? So here we have to obtain the greater height. We know that pressure due to the liquid is rho gh, where this is density, g is acceleration due to gravity, and h is height. So height will be equal to P over density multiplied by g. We can simply see from here that height is directly proportional to pressure and it is inversely proportional to density. First of all, we check the options. In the option A, using a less dense liquid. B, using a more dense liquid. C, using a narrow tube. D, using a wider tube. So there is only, we relate the height with the density. Height is inversely proportional to the density. It means that if the liquid is less dense, then the height will be larger. So from here, only option A is correct. Question number 13. A wash basin has an exit pipe covered with a plug of area 12 cm square. A chain is attached to the center of the plug to assist in pulling the plug away from the exit hole. The wash basin contains water to a depth of 0.080 meter. The density of the water is 1000 kg per meter cube. What is the force acting on the plug due to the water? So here basically we have to find out force. We know that pressure is equal to density multiplied by g and height. Also pressure is equal to force over area. As the left hand side of both of these equations are same, so right hand side should be same. Force over area will be equal to density multiplied by g and height. So force will be, now I am going to put values here. Density is given 1000 multiplied by the value of g is 10 meter per second square and height is given 0.080. Multiply area. Area here is 12 centimeter square and we have to convert this area into meter square. So here will be 12 multiplied by 10 की power minus 4. The unit of force is Newton. So force will be equal to 0.96 Newton. Now we see the option. Option A is 0.96 Newton. So this is correct. Question number 14. Diagram 1 shows apparatus being used to observe the smoke particles. Diagram 2 shows how a smoke particle moves randomly. So there are smoke particles and the diagram 2 shows that how the smoke particles move randomly. Why does the smoke particles move randomly? So here we have to explain the reason. Option A, they are hit by the air molecules. B, they are less dense than the air. C, they are moved by the convection currents. D, they gain energy from the light. So the smoke particles move randomly because they are hit by the air molecules. So option A is correct. Question number 15. A bubble of the air has a volume of 2.0 centimeter cube at the bottom of the lake where the total pressure is 4.0 into 10 की power 5 Pascal. The temperature of the water in the lake is constant. Here temperature is constant. The atmospheric pressure at the surface is 1.0 into 10 की power 5 Pascal. What is the volume of the bubble when it rises to the surface? So here we have to find out volume when it is at the surface. Here we use the Boyle's law because here temperature is constant. So pressure is inversely proportional to volume. This is according to Boyle's law. We can simply write P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Here we have to find out the value of V2. It will be equal to P1 V1 over P2. P1 is given 4.0 into 10 की power 5 Pascal, while V1 is also given 2.0 centimeter cube, divided by P2 1.0 into 10 की power 5 Pascal. So volume V2 will be equal to 8.0 centimeter cube. From here, option D is correct. Question number 16. Which row shows the relative order of the thermal expansion of the solids, liquids and gases? On the left hand side, we have to show that which one of the following has the most expansion, while on the right hand side, there is least expansion. We know that the molecules of the solid, these are held very close to each other. There is no spacing between the molecules of the solid. Next, here is liquid. In the molecules of liquid, there is small spacing between them. While the molecules of the gas, they are farther apart from each other. So this is gas. As the spacing between the gas molecules are larger as compared to the liquid and solid, so it is easily to expand gas more as compared to liquid and solid. So the most expansion will be for the gas in the option C and D. Most expansion is for the gas. Next we have to check that which one of the following expand the least. Because there is no spacing between the solid, due to which there will be least expansion for the solid, which is given in the option D. And there is a small spacing between the molecules of the liquid, so there will be small amount of expansion, which is for the liquid. So only option D is correct. Question number 17. A block of ice at temperature of -100 degrees C, energy is supplied at a constant rate. The graph shows how its temperature changes. So there is change in temperature with the time. At which points has the ice completely changed state to water and all the water completely changed state to steam? So which point shows that ice changed into water and then water changed into steam? So when there is phase change, there is no increase in temperature. On the curve we can see here that from 1 to 2, there is no increase in temperature. So here basically the change of state occurs. Also from 3 to 4, there is no increase in temperature. So there will be change in state. As we can see that from point 1 and 2, temperature is 0 degrees C. While from 3 to 4, temperature is 100 degrees C. It means that 100 degrees C, there is the conversion of water into steam. So the water completely convert into steam at 4, while at the point 2, the ice change into water. Now we see the options. Completely changed to water, completely changed to steam. Option A, 1 and 3, B, 1 and 4, C, 2 and 4, D, 2 and 4. So only option D is correct here. There is point 2 and 4. Question number 18. The temperature of the water at the bottom of the waterfall is greater than the temperature of the water at the top. The gravitational potential energy of the water at the top is transferred to the thermal energy at the bottom. The specific heat capacity of the water is 4200 joule per kilogram per degree C. What is the temperature difference for the water fall of height 21 meter? So basically here we have to compare the gravitational potential energy with the amount of heat that is required for the heat capacity. So I write here gravitational potential energy will be equal to heat. Gravitational potential energy is mgh and q is here mc delta t. This m cancels by this and we have to find out the value of delta t. It will be equal to gh over c. The value of g is 10 multiplied by height. Height is given 21 meter divided by c, that is the specific heat capacity, 4200. So change in temperature will be equal to 0.05 degrees C. Now we see the option. In the option B, 0.05 degrees C is given. So option B is correct. Question number 19. One end of a shiny metal rod is heated and the other end quickly gets hot. Which statement describes why the other end quickly gets hot? Because here is metal rod and metal rod contains a large number of free electrons. When we heat one end of the metal rod, then by the movement of the free electrons, the heat is transferred to the other end, due to which the other end also gets hot. Now we see the option. In the option A, metals are good thermal conductor, which is correct. So only option A is correct. Question number 20. 4 different surfaces are at the same high temperature. Which surface will emit thermal radiation at the slowest rate? So here is the emission of thermal radiation at the slowest rate. So thermal radiation will be emitted at the slow rate only when the surface area is smaller and we use the white shiny surface because it is a bad conductor of the thermal energy and the emission of radiation is also directly proportional to the surface area of the surface. It means that when area is smaller, then the thermal radiation that emits also be at the slow rate. Also when we use the white surface which is shiny, the rate of thermal radiation emission will be small. Now we see the option. In the option C and D, white surfaces are shown. Also the texture of surface is shiny, but here the surface area is different. We have to choose that surface which has smaller area, which is 10. So only option C is correct, which shows that shiny white surface with 10 centimeter square area emits the thermal radiation at the slowest rate. Question number 21. Plain water waves traveling from the shallow region into the deeper region, they travel more quickly in the deeper water. Which diagram shows the wave pattern in the deeper water? So in the deep water, speed is larger. We also know V is equal to F lambda. Here F is the frequency and lambda is wavelength. So in this case the frequency remains same. Simply the speed is directly proportional to wavelength. So when the speed is larger, the wavelength should be larger. When we have to draw the waves on the deep water, we have to consider that the speed is larger, due to which the wavelength should be larger. So first of all, wavelength is the distance between these two consecutive lines. Now we see the options. In the option A, here the distance remains same, that is equal to wavelength. So this is incorrect. In the option C, we can see here the distance between these two lines is larger as compared to this distance. So only option C is correct. Also in the option D, the distance gets smaller, due to which this is also incorrect. Question number 22. An object is placed 8.0 cm from a thin converging lens of the focal length 5.0 cm. Which statement about the image formed by the lens is correct? So here is the object at 8.0 cm while the focal point is 5.0 cm distance from the converging lens. So the object is lying outside of the focus point. We have to tell the nature of the image. So the image should be real and inverted. Its image will be on the right hand side like this. The location of image will be this, and this image is inverted and also real because this can be projected onto the screen. Now we see the option. Option A, the image is real and inverted. B, image is real and upright. C, the image is virtual and inverted. D, the image is virtual and upright. So only option A is correct, which shows that image is real and inverted. Question number 23. Light travels through the air and then enters and travels through the parallel sided glass block. Which statement is correct? Option A, the angle of incidence is greater than the angle of refraction as the light leaves the block. B, the light emerging from the block is parallel to the light entering the block. C, the speed of the light decreases as it leaves the block. D, the wavelength of the light does not change as it enters the block. So first of all, here is a block. There is a light that is incident on this block. There is a process of refraction. So when this light is incident on this block, this will bend towards the normal. If I draw here normal, the path of this ray changes and it will be like this. But when it emerges out of this glass, it will be parallel to the incident light. From here we can see that option B is correct, that the light emerges from the block is parallel to the light entering the block. Option C and D is incorrect because in the glass the light slows down, not in the air. Also the wavelength changes. So only option B is correct. Question number 24. Different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum are used for different purposes. Below are 4 statements about part of the spectrum. Statement 1. Infrared waves are used in the television remote controllers. Statement 2. Radio waves are used to transmit the television pictures from the satellite to the earth. Statement 3. Ultraviolet waves are used for intruder alarms. Statement 4. X-rays are used for security checks. So from here only statement 1 and 4 is correct, which shows that the X-rays are used for the security checks and the infrared waves are used in the television remote controllers. So option B is correct, which shows 1 and 4. Question number 25. A sheet of ice floats on water. A source of sound S is positioned at the edge of the ice sheet. 4 microphones are placed equal distance from the S. Which microphone detect the sound from the S first? So which one of the microphone detect the sound first? It depends upon the speed of sound in the medium. We know that the speed of sound in the solid is greater as compared to the speed in the liquid, which is also greater as compared to the speed in the gas. So here ice is basically solid while the water is liquid and air is gas. There are 4 microphones A, B, C and D. The A microphone is in air while the B microphone is closer to the ice. D is very far away from this ice, but it is also in the air and half in the water, and C is inside the water. So for the microphone B, the speed should be larger because it is closer to the ice. So only option B is correct, which shows that microphone B detect the sound first from the source. Question number 26. Which diagram shows the pattern and the direction of the magnetic field lines around a bar magnet? So there is a bar magnet. It has 2 poles, North Pole and South Pole. And they are also shown the magnetic lines of force. We know that the magnetic field line starts from the North Pole, or simply I can say that the magnetic field lines emerges from the North Pole and enters into the South Pole. In the option A, we can see here that these lines are emerging from the north while entering into the south. Again, this straight line also shows that from the North Pole they are outside while in the South Pole they are inside. So only option A is correct, which shows the correct magnetic field lines around the bar magnet. While we see here option B, the direction of the arrows are reversed. This shows that the magnetic field lines emerges from the south and entering into the north, which is incorrect. In the option C, again we can see here the magnetic field lines, but in this case all of the magnetic field lines emerges and enters into the single point, which is not correct, due to which option C is incorrect. Also option D, here is also magnetic field lines emerges from the single point. So this is also incorrect. Question number 27. A bar magnet is placed inside a current carrying coil. The diagram shows 4 different experiments. Here is 4 experiment 1, 2, 3 and 4. In which experiment is the magnet demagnetized? So here we have to demagnetize the magnet. In the first experiment we can see here there is AC source, while in 2 there is DC source. Also in the 4 there is also DC source. So the direct current cannot be used for the magnetization of the magnet or demagnetize a magnet. So option 2, that is experiment 2 and 4, both of these are incorrect. Now we check 1 and 3. In the 1, here it is slowly removed. So the magnet is removed out of this slowly, due to which the bar magnet get demagnetized. Also in the experiment 3, here is AC power supply and current in coil slowly reduced. So when we reduce the current, there will be demagnetization. So only first and third experiment shows that magnet demagnetized. From here, option B is correct. Question number 28. Which row shows the meaning of the quantity EMF and the unit in which it is measured? Meaning and unit. Option A, electromagnetic force, Newton. B, electromagnetic force, volt. C, electromotive force, Newton. D, electromotive force, volt. Basically, electromotive force is the work done on the charges. Electromotive force is not a force, but it is a potential, due to which its unit is volt. So option D is correct, which shows that electromotive force and the unit is volt. Question number 29. Which diagram shows the current voltage IV characteristic for a filament lamp? So filament lamp does not obey Ohm's law. It means that the current and voltage characteristic is not a straight line. So option B is incorrect. So first of all, here I consider the filament lamp. When the potential difference increase, then the temperature of the thin wire inside the bulb also increase, due to which the increased oscillation of the ions in the filament take place and it makes harder for the electron to pass through. So only C option is correct one. Question number 30. The diagram shows a light dependent resistor LDR connected in potential divider circuit. The brightness of the light falling on the LDR is increased. Which row shows that what happens to the resistance of the LDR and what happens to the reading on the voltmeter? The resistance of LDR and reading on the voltmeter is shown in the options. First of all, here we can see that this is LDR while the other is resistor. There is also the voltmeter that is connected across the LDR. We have to show that what happens to the resistance of the LDR and reading on the voltmeter when the brightness of the light falling on the LDR is increased. So first of all, when the light falls on the LDR, then the resistance of LDR decreases. In the darkness, when there is no light, then the resistance of the LDR is high. But if the light is bright, then the resistance decreases. And if the light is dim, the resistance should be high. For the low resistance, the potential difference across this LDR should be low, because here is the potential divider, and R1 over R2 is equal to V1 over V2 in this potential divider. It means that resistance is directly proportional to the potential difference. When the resistance is low, the potential difference across the LDR should be small. So here we have to follow the bright light on the LDR. When the bright light falls on the LDR, then the resistance of LDR decreases, due to which the reading on the voltmeter also decreases. Now we see the options. Option A, decreases. So this option is correct, because the resistance of the LDR decreases, also the reading on the voltmeter decreases. So only option A is correct. Question number 31. The diagram shows a part of the electric circuit. The reading on the voltmeter is 16 volt. The current in the resistor is 8.0 ampere. 1 coulomb of the charge flow from point P to Q through the resistor. How much energy is transferred in the resistor? So here we have to find out energy. We know that power is the product of current and potential difference. And also power is rate of transfer of energy, that is E by T. It means that energy over time is equal to I and V. So energy will be equal to IT multiplied by V. Current is the rate of flow of charges. I is equal to Q over T. So Q will be equal to I multiplied by T. So I put here IT is basically equal to Q multiplied by V. Because here we don't know the value of the time, that's why I put the value IT is equal to Q. Now I am going to put values. Q is given 1 coulomb multiplied by the potential difference is 16 volt. So energy will be equal to 16 joule. It is given in the option C. So C is correct. Question number 32. Which symbol represents an AND gate? So we have to recognize that which one of the following is for the AND gate. Here is option A. Option A is basically, this is OR gate, while this bubble shows NOT gate. So this whole gate is basically NOT gate. In the option B, here is only OR gate. C, this is and this bubble shows NOT. So this gate is basically NAND gate. In the option D, here is AND gate. So option D is correct. Question number 33. Either a fuse or a circuit breaker can be used to protect electrical cables from large currents that could cause overheating. When a fuse is used, where it should be connected, and when a circuit breaker is used, where it should be connected. Position of the fuse and the position of circuit breaker is shown. We have to tell that which position X or Y we should connect the fuse or circuit breaker. So first of all, the basic function for the circuit breaker is to cut off the current flow after the protection relay detects a failure. The circuit breaker should be used in place of the wired for reducing the high value of the current to protect circuit. Fuse contains wire that melt easily. If the current flowing through the fuse is too much high. It will heat up until the wire melt, breaking the circuit. It means that the fuse should be connected at the X. In order to make sure the connection breakage between the live wire and appliance whenever a high level current reaches the fuse, which can damage the appliance. So both of these should be connected at the X. Now we see the options. Option A, X and X. So this is correct. Only option A is correct. Question number 34. The circuit diagram shows an AC power supply connected to the two diodes and a resistor. So there are two diodes X and Y, and there is also the resistor. AC power supply is here. The graph shows the current from the supply. So this is basically alternating current, which graph shows the current in the diode X. Here we can see that there is a current and time graph, and it is an alternating current wave. Next, when this current passing through the diode, what will be the shape of this current time graph? So diode is a device that allows the current to flow only in one direction. It means that the current in the other direction is blocked. Now we see the options. Option A, there is also the alternating current, which is incorrect. In the option B, here we can see that this is direct current, but here both of the halves are shown. It means that in the diode only one half pass and second is blocked. So this is also incorrect. In the option C, we see here that one half of the wave pass and then the second half is blocked. Then again first half pass and again second half block. So option C is correct. In the option D, we can see here first half of the wave pass and then the second block. Then for the again next wave, this is shown in downward direction, which shows that here is alternating current that changes its polarity again and again. So this is also incorrect. Only option C is correct. Question number 35. A 100% efficient step-down transformer has primary voltage Vp and a primary current Ip. Which row compares the secondary voltage with the Vp and the secondary current with Ip? So first of all, we know that in the step-down transformer, the voltage across the secondary is smaller as compared to the voltage across the primary. Next, it is given that this transformer is 100% efficient. It means that the input power will be equal to output power. Power is basically the product of the current and potential. So I write here IPVP. It will be equal to IS and VS. So VP over VS will be equal to IS over IP. I simply see from here that VP is inversely proportional to IP, and also VS is inversely proportional to current in the secondary. Potential and current are inversely proportional to each other. In the step-down transformer, the voltage across the secondary is smaller, so the current across the secondary should be larger as compared to the current in the primary. Now we see the options. Option A, secondary voltage greater than primary. This is incorrect. B, again greater than primary, which is incorrect. C, less than Vp. This statement is correct, greater than Ip. So current is greater than Ip and voltage is smaller than Vp. So only option C is correct. Question number 36. There is an electric current in the wire. The wire is placed in a magnetic field. A force acts on the wire due to the current. Which statement is correct? Option A. The magnetic field must be produced by the permanent magnet and not by the electromagnet. This is incorrect. B. The wire must be made from a magnetic material. C. When both current and the magnetic field reversed, the direction of the force unchanged. D. When the current is reversed but not the magnetic field, there will be no force on the wire. So from here, Option C is correct, which shows that when the current and magnetic field, both of these are reversed, then the direction of force is unchanged. If we change only current or only magnetic field, then the direction of force will be changed. So option C is correct. Question number 37. Which diagram represents the structure of the neutral atom? In the neutral atom, the number of protons should be equal to the number of electrons. First of all, we check the number of protons and electrons in each of these options. Here it is given that neutron is shown by the blank circle, proton is shown by the positive, while the electron is shown by the negative. In the option A, there are 2 electrons and a single proton. I write here proton is 1 while the electrons are 2. So this is not neutral atom because the number of protons are not equal to number of electrons. In the option B, we see here that there are 2 electrons and also 2 protons. Here the number of electrons and number of protons are equal, due to which option B is correct. We also check the other ones. In the option C, the electron is only 1 while the protons are 2, due to which this is also incorrect. In the D, we can see here 2 electrons and 3 protons are present, due to which D option is also incorrect. Only option B is correct. Question number 38. A nucleus of Ra with atomic number 88 and mass number 228 decays into an isotope of actinium, which then decays into a nucleus of Th with atomic number 90 and mass number 228. Which type of radiations have been emitted during this process? Option A, 1 alpha particle only. B, 1 alpha particle and 1 beta particle. C, 2 alpha particle. D, 2 beta particle. So first of all, when there is the emission of alpha particle is just like helium nuclei with atomic number 2 and mass number 4. When there is the emission of alpha particle, the atomic number decreases by 2 while the mass number decreases by 4. I also write here atomic number decreases by 2 while mass number decreases by 4. When there is the emission of beta particle are just like electron. So the atomic number increases by 1 while the mass number remains unchanged. So first of all, here Ra 88 and 228 given, it changes into another element which is actinium. I suppose that this is X, so I write here X plus. Then it further changes into Th and the atomic number of Th is 90 and here is 228. First of all, we see here the mass number remains same, that is 228, and here is also 228. But the atomic number, first of all, here it is 88 and here is 90, it is increased by 2. Now we see here that in the beta decay, the atomic number increased by 1. It means that there is the emission of 2 beta particles. First of all, there is also beta particle, 0 and -1, and here will be 228 and 89. Then this element decays into Th and there is also the emission of beta particle and -1. It means that there are 2 beta particles. Now we see the option. In the option B, 2 beta particles are given. So D is correct. Question number 39. The diagram shows the path of 3 different types of radiation X, Y and Z. There are 3 radiations X, Y and Z. 2 mm of the plastic, 10 mm of the aluminium and 50 mm of lead is also shown. Which row correctly identifies X, Y and Z? So X, Y, Z are given here. In the option A, alpha particle, beta particle and gamma rays, it means that we have to identify that which one of the following is for the alpha particle, beta particles and gamma rays. So first of all, here is Y, that is stopped by the 2 mm of plastic sheet. So this is basically alpha particle because the penetration power of the alpha particle is very small as compared to beta and gamma rays. So Y is basically alpha particle. X is stopped by the 10 mm of aluminium. This is basically beta particle. Z is only stopped by 50 mm of lead. So this is basically gamma rays because the penetration power of the gamma rays are larger as compared to alpha and beta. Now we see the option. In the option A, X shows alpha particle, but here it is beta. So option A is incorrect. In the option B, X shows beta particle. Here is also beta particle. Y shows alpha. Here is also alpha particle and Z shows gamma rays. So only option B is correct. Question number 40. The count rate due to the sample of radioactive isotope is measured for 80 minutes. Time given in minutes and also the count rate, counts per second. First of all, when time is 0, the count rate initially is 480. When the time increases, it is 20 minutes, then the count rate is 380. When we increase the time, the count rate decreases. What is the half-life of the isotope? So here we have to find out the half-life. First of all, I write here at T is equal to 0. The count rate is 480 counts per second. Half-life is a time during which the count rate remains half. So I divide 480 by 2. It will be equal to 240. We have to find out the time during which the count rate remains 240. In this table we can see here there is also 240 and time is given 60. It means that 60 minutes pass. To reduce the count rate from 480 to 240 counts per second. So half-life will be equal to 60 minutes. Only option C is correct.